Hey everyone, this is Caitlin, the LC, and I'm here to actually talk about one of my favorite topics and one that I've really become passionate about over the last year or so, and that's pump fitting. Okay, so pump size, flange, fitting. It's really important that we have the right size flange. So this is the flange, this hard plasticky part here, or sometimes they're more silicone like this. But it's really important that we have the right pump size because that's going to make it a lot more comfortable for us when we are pumping. And in addition, it's going to help us yield a lot more milk. So one reason that this has been my most favorite topic is because seeing the delight on new parents' faces when they're pumping and for the first time they're not having pain, or for the first time they're actually seeing spraying happening, or they're just being able to drain their breast a lot better because they're using the right size flange. So I really had an aha moment when I was learning all about this. And that's when I realized that for my 3 babies, I was actually using the wrong size. I was just using the standard size that came with the pump. And I thought, okay, this is it. I can pump to a max level of 3. That's where I'm comfortable. And I didn't know for all 3 of those babies that I was using the wrong size. And that when I was actually sized to the right size, I felt so much more comfortable and I could go to a level 8 or 9 and be in complete comfort. So I'm going to teach you today how to size your flange, your breast pump, so that you are getting the most out of breast pumping as possible. Okay, so first things first, you can measure yourself, okay? So if you're going to measure yourself, find a ruler around your house. If you don't have a ruler, if you only have a tape measure, that's fine too. There's also little cutouts that you can get online just to kind of measure the diameter of your nipple. But using a ruler I find is best. And honestly, I got this at the dollar store, right? But first you want to measure the base of the nipple. Okay, so how wide is your nipple at the base? But then in addition, how wide is your nipple towards the tip? Okay, this is going to give you a rough idea of how big a flange you should be using. Now, I say rough idea because some people's breasts are really elasticy and their nipples are really elasticy as well. So this area here is quite elasticy, whereas other people's nipples, it's a little bit more stiff. So anyways, it's going to give you a rough idea for the size that you should be using. So if I were to take this ruler here and measure this size, the diameter is not quite 2 centimeters. So it's about, I'm going to say roughly around 15 to 17 millimeters. And then the tip is smaller. It's more like 14 or so. All right. Now, the reason that we're measuring this is because when a baby suckles at the breast, they are breastfeeding like this, but the nipple itself is coming in contact with the upper palate of the baby. Okay. So we do want nipple stimulation. So we need nipple stimulation because there's a whole bunch of little nerves around the base of the nipple that send that message to the brain to release the milk. So if we have our nipple going through the breast flange and it's not touching the edges at all, so I'm going to put this through and you're going to kind of see, it's not really touching the edges. It's maybe a couple millimeters away from touching the edges there. Well, then what's going to happen is that nipple's not getting the full stimulation that it needs to get that letdown to happen. But in addition, as the pump starts pumping, it's going to pump through your areola. Okay, so your areola is this part here, and the areola is going to stretch into this tunnel here, which we don't want at all. So we really want the nipple to be fitting inside the flange, making some contact with that tube, with that flange. We want some contact without the nipple being squeezed. So we want some contact, not being squeezed, no white rings happening around here, okay? And we want that areola to stay here in this part, okay? So we want good movement happening there. So if I were to measure this one, like I said, it was maybe around a 17, 18. This is a size 19 millimeter flange, okay? So when we try the nipple in that, obviously we want to try it while the breast pump is pumping, right? But we want to see, again, that the nipple is making contact with the flange, the tube of the flange, without the areola, this part, being pulled through the flange. So even this, I would say, is a little bit big, okay? Because there's quite a bit of space around the nipple and that tube there. So if I were to look at a 17 now, okay, so now I'm seeing a little bit more what I want to see, which is some contact between the nipple and the tube, the flange, okay, without the areola being pulled through. So the goal here is that when you take off the pump, your nipple looks like your nipple, okay? It shouldn't look swollen. It shouldn't look like the areola is swollen, right? It should look like a nipple, all right? So one other tip that I like to tell people before they pump is to put on a little bit of coconut oil. You don't need a lot, just a little bit here, or you can even put a little bit here. That just creates a little bit of lubrication, just like baby's mouth has some lubrication as well. That can just help with the whole pumping experience. Now, that's how you're gonna size yourself, okay? So the rough estimate is going to be what you measured, right? But then you're gonna be able to look at how things look while you're pumping. So give it a few minutes and see if you can go any higher than you were able to go before. Now, for those of us with more elasticy nipples, like I mentioned in the beginning, right? You might find that something like this, a silicone flange, works a little bit better for you. Okay, now usually the hard ones are best, but sometimes you'll find these little silicone ones actually work better with your nipples that are a little bit more elasticy. And then there's other ones that you can get that look like this that might fit the wearable pumps, right? That might not have selections that go down smaller to like 13, 14, 15. So these ones insert into the pump like so. This one is not going to be a perfect fit, but it inserts like this, right? And then it just makes that tunnel a little bit smaller and helps you achieve that comfort level that you want, but also that efficiency level that you want. And then they come in different sizes, again, for different breast shapes, but also for different pumps, okay? And again, it just fits right in like so, and then that will help with the pumping. These flanges, you can get them on Amazon. I'll put a link below for that, but they are made by a company named Maymom. So this company makes a whole bunch of different flange sizes for different pumps. So if you have like a Spectra pump, for example, they make ones that fit a Spectra pump. If you have like a Medela pump, they make ones that fit a Medela pump. So make sure that when you're purchasing your size, you're purchasing a flange that actually fits on to the pump that you're using, because you don't want to waste your money buying something that doesn't work at all. Okay, so be sure to like and subscribe below and let me know what pump size works for you. Personally, my number is 17. That's what felt really great for me, but comment below what size flange you used.